Jonathan Lee Riches, aka JLR, Justice for Summer Wells. We are approaching 1 year since Summer Wells went missing. Where is Summer Wells? Been doing some research, looking around. My particular interest is parents, mother or father, that been charged for their child's murder without finding the body. I wanted to know if this happens, where it happens, if it happened before. Also, if parents are charged years later after, if their child is reported missing and the parents get charged years later for their crime. I've been kind of looking around to see similarities, other cases, as an example of, what's going on with Don and Candus Wells. And I found this interesting case. And I'm going to scroll down the screen here and read an article about an interesting case I found out of Nevada. Check this out. All right, so this is a case I found out of Nevada. And this is a BuzzFeed news report. Happened a couple years ago. She reported her 3-year-old son was missing. More than 30 years later, police arrested her for her murder. Today is an example of justice delayed is not justice denied, Clark County District Attorney Steve Wolfson told reporters. So basically, I will read this article. The mother of a child who went missing more than 30 years ago has been charged with his murder after investigators took another look at the evidence in the decades-old missing persons case. After 3-year-old Francillon Pierre was reported missing in North Las Vegas on August 2nd, 1986, his mother, Amy Elizabeth Fleming, and the boy's stepfather, Lee Luster, told authorities that the child had wandered away at a swap meet. Wandered away. We've been hearing the wander away, Summer Wells. She could have wandered away. North Las Vegas Police Chief Pamela Ojeda, excuse if I'm not pronouncing that properly, said investigators at the time suspected Fleming was involved in Francilla's disappearance and that he may have been killed, but they didn't have enough evidence to file charges. Detectives decided to take another look at the case in 2017 after they were notified that an unknown person filed application for a birth certificate in Pierre's name in an identity fraud attempt. Ortega said the application did not lead to the boy, but it prompted detectives to take another look at the evidence and conduct additional interviews. They figured out what they needed to do, who they needed to re-interview, and what other evidence they needed to go through with this fine-tooth comb to actually bring this case to a full prosecution. Fleming, now 60, was arrested January 29th in Florida on a fugitive warrant from Nevada for felony murder. The Palm Beach Post reported, the outlet that broke the story on Saturday reported that Fleming was taken, Fleming was taken into custody by U.S. Marshals and is being extradited to Nevada. Today is an example of justice delayed is not justice denied, prosecutor said. Sometimes you reached a point where you can't follow up on any more leads, but then something happens, which brings life back to the case. So, this case went on for 30 years. Parents originally said that, their son went missing, wandered off. 30 years later, it took them to finally be charged. Will that happen with Don and Candus Wells? They didn't even find the body. They didn't find the body yet. They were still charged. So you can be charged. Parents can be charged with murder without finding the body. Without finding the body. You can be charged without finding the body. So, justice for Summer Wells. I know it's been a year. Let's be hopeful. Just because they don't have enough evidence now to arrest doesn't mean they will in the future. Doesn't mean they won't in the future. My mind is all scattered because, you look at all angles of this case. And this is everyone that's been following this case. Kudos to everyone because we've been working tirelessly across the internet, sleuthing and going through interviews and going through other people's channels and just trying to get clues and ideas to try to help and contribute and to break this case and try to find out what happened to Summer Wells. All we want is Summer Wells found. We want just Summer Wells found. We want this case to end instead of just dragging on and on and on. You know, Summer's life mattered. And, you know, we care. We care. We genuinely care. I care. I'm sure a lot of you guys care. I see a lot of people commenting on a lot of my videos, and I see your passion, and I see your, you know, you just want answers, and you want this case solved, and you care. We don't know Summer personally, but her case, and just seeing the pictures of her and everything like that, it just made us feel like, hey, you know, she was important. This is shameful that this happened. This tragedy happened. It's very, very shameful that this tragedy happened. Justice for Summer Wells. If you have any information about the whereabouts of Summer Wells, you contact the Tennessee Borough Investigation at 1-800-TBI-FIND, or contact the Hawkins County Sheriff's Office or your local police, FBI, you know, anyone in the Beech Creek area. If you've seen anything around June 15th, 2021, you know, anything odd, you remember a car that passed through or something that just didn't seem right, or a flashback or something like that, go to police and let them know. Go to police and let them know. Please. Everybody be safe. God bless. Oh, before I go, I forgot to add, people are probably wondering what was the outcome of that case in Vegas. You know, it was a few years ago. Fleming got charged with her child's murder 30 years ago. I did a little bit more research, and believe it or not, the woman that was charged, the mother, Miss Fleming, she actually only got 24 months in prison. She did a plea bargain instead of being pleading guilty to capital murder charges or first-degree murder charges, which is sort of would have landed a life sentence. She took an Alford plea and for involuntary manslaughter and got 24 months in prison. 24 months in prison. Check this out right here. Check this out. Of course not. Woman denies killing 3-year-old while being taken to prison for boy's presumed death in 1986. This is a law and crime report. While being hauled off to prison after copping a plea, a Las Vegas woman denied killing her son in 1986 when asked by a local television crew. Amy Elizabeth Fleming will serve a total of 23 months after agreeing to an Alford plea in the disappearance and presumed death of 3-year-old Francillon Pierre some 35 years ago. Of course not, she said when asked if she killed her son. According to court records, Fleming, now 63, entered the Alford plea to a single count of involuntary manslaughter. The crime is said of those records to have occurred July 1, 1986. By entering the Alford plea, Fleming did not admit legal guilt. Rather, she admitted that the government has enough evidence to prosecute her, and that she therefore saw a conviction as likely given the evidence. The attorney said that many of the witnesses who could have testified in his client's favor are now dead, and the case would have been difficult had it progressed to trial. There you go. So yeah, she was held responsible, but 24 months for her son's death, it's kind of like a slap in the face. But again, 35 years ago, prosecution would probably have a hard time. Defense has a hard time to get witnesses. Prosecution, you know, a lot of people are dead 35 years later, moved on. They're hard to get. Evidence isn't preserved that long. You know, a lot of people, testimony can be, you know, not remembering what they remembered back then. But she was held accountable. She was held accountable, but 24 months, slap in the wrist. You know, hopefully if Don and Candus Wells get charged, that, you know, they don't get any plea where it's, you know, a couple years in jail for what they did this summer. You know, we as the people, we as the ones that care for Summer's army, want full justice, and we want, you know, a life sentence. We want, you know, the people to never be able to do what they did this summer to anyone else ever again, and never see the light of day. Never see the light of day. So there was some follow-up information. So everyone be safe. Love your loved ones. Justice for Summer Wells.